Do you ever feel like you should do like those speaking or, the voice exercises that singers do before you start a video? Because I so almost just did those to get out the nerves. Don't know why I'm nervous. Hey guys, Stitching May here to do my update video. Unlike last week, I actually have a pretty good amount of stuff to show you. Last week I had a lot of progress on a few projects. This time I have mediocre projects on a mediocre amount of projects. Progress on projects. Anyway, I have a little bit of haul, no finishes and no new starts. Magical Stitches is still ruling my life. I'll get into that later. And then I also have a gift from a friend that I kind of snuck and opened early. We'll get into that too. I did ship off my giveaway winner's gift to her, so she should be getting that soon. And this week, life-wise, has been the same old, same old. Just getting my kid back and forth to baseball practices and games. I worked extra this week to where I could be off this weekend, because this weekend is my husband's birthday. So I'm off on Saturday, Sunday, so I should get more stitching done. Even though I'm off, they're texting me and begging me to come in, and I'm like, no, not happening this weekend. I have family stuff to do this weekend. Otherwise, they would have probably gotten me in, because I know they're busy. Anyway, you guys aren't here for that stuff. You're here for the stitching. So let's jump right in to my handy dandy notebook. I laughed. I was watching Sam's video, and on one of her vlog inserts, she had left her notebook at home, and like she couldn't do anything without her notebook. And earlier I had said that I don't take notes, and now I can't really do a lot without my notebook. So after the end of the video last week, I had already finished all of my homework, and I was going to finish up on some, excuse me, hiccups, extra stitching. Why do I always get the hiccups on the videos? That and an itchy nose. I was finishing up some extra credit for the Magical Stitches and literature group, and I was working on my flowering flourish, and I was also finishing up a prairie schooler space for my Stitchopoly and semi-sane stitchers. I have to say, for the last 2 weeks, I have completely failed on marking how many stitches I've stitched for the stitching through the solar system. I've got to figure out a plan to do that, because I'm already posting in Stitchopoly, and then I'm posting in Magical Stitches, and I'm keeping up with my number of stitches, but I don't know how to post that. I guess I just need to post in all 3 places. I don't know. It's a little overwhelming for me. So this week's homework was in reference to when Hermione in the Harry Potter books, Prisoner of Azkaban is the book we're on, takes on too many courses, or classes. So we had to stitch at least 3 out of 5 classes, 200 stitches a piece. There were penalty stitches if you didn't meet that. And then you could also get extra points by stitching in all 5 classes. My goal is to complete all 5 tasks. I've completed 3 of them as of this afternoon. And then I finished also listening to the audiobook Prisoner of Azkaban. I've watched Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which was crazy to see like 2001 CGI. Because that's when the movie came out. Guys, do you know how old that makes me? Like, I remember 2001, as many of us do, very vividly. And like, I can remember seeing that video at some point, that movie, and thinking, wow, the CGI is amazing. And now I look back at it, I'm like, oh God, this is kind of cheesy. I mean, not that the movie's cheesy. Please don't take me the wrong way. But just the CGI has progressed so much now that it looks completely different. My son actually watched part of Sorcerer's Stone with me. I didn't let him watch number 2. It's a little more scary, and I definitely probably won't let him watch 3, 4, or 5. 6 or 7. I don't know. I want him to be interested in Harry Potter, but I think he's just a little too young for it still. Anyway, I don't know what I want to do for May because, like, I don't have an audiobook to listen to because I can't start the 4th book. So far, the 3rd book, Prisoner of Azkaban, has been my favorite book. I will eventually watch Prisoner of Azkaban and Stitch for some of the extra credit. But I haven't done that yet because I've been working too hard on the homework and you can't do those concurrently. I'm so rambling. Let me just get into the stitching. You guys have probably fast forwarded to this point anyway. So the first project that I worked on was my Flowering Flourish by Connie G Designs. Again, this is available on her Etsy page. This is kind of a, almost like a mandala, but not really a mandala. It's very, like, the top 2 pieces are the same. It seems like the 2 side pieces are the same. As you can see in the what it will look like picture. And I stitched a total of 160 stitches on this. And this is where it was before. And this is where I am now. I actually have my little whiteboard. So I finished this entire bottom piece and I've started kind of coming up into this left hand piece. Again, this is stitched on MCG Natural Linen, the Michaels or Hobby Lobby or Joann's fabric. And it is stitched with DMC 4025, I believe. Caribbean Blue. I've said it in several of my videos. But there, that is. Guys, this piece is so much fun to stitch. And I chose the turquoise. You could choose, and obviously you could choose any color you wanted. And I stitched 160 stitches on that. And then that was it. And then I had to go to work. And I worked Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. There was one night that I was able to stitch a little on break, and that night I chose to work on my Connie G's 2-year-long sal. I'll have to look and see how many stitches I stitched. This is what I'm using for the extra credit for Magical Stitches. 500 stitches in 310 black for Serious Black. That's the wrong app. I normally write this down. I didn't write this one down because I'm not finished with the block yet. I'm kind of counting each block and then adding it back once I finish. So the last time I showed it to you, I had stitched 60 stitches. And I'm currently at 397. So that would be 337 back stitches. So that's about 160 stitches or some odd, give or take a few. Doing my fast math. And I almost finished the March square. I messaged her. I was like, you're going to have to go ahead, because I do have the entire pattern, but I was like, you're going to have to go ahead and release April to where I can stitch and show this to people, because I'm ready to move on to April. So this is the March square. I'm going to get a little closer. I've noticed in the last videos, I don't think I've been close enough, but hopefully I'm not out of focus. But here this piece is. Oops, I'm dropping fabric. This is stitched, of course, in DMC 310 on a now unavailable Sunny Dyes fabric. It's 28 count, and I'm stitching 1 strand of black over 2 threads. And the only thing I have left for March is this one little bitty block, and I think, I want to say there's about 60 back stitches in this, so that will put me at 450, so about 250 just on this block, not counting this block up here that I had partial credit for, and then I'll have the entirety of this April block, which is pretty complex. Not hard, just a lot of stitches. See, I get to see it before you, and I can kind of give you a sneak peek that this block is a little more detailed than this block. Don't tell Connie I told you that. But there that is. And guys, this is free on her blog, and it runs until December of this year. And I'm sure she'll live it up after that. I don't know if she's doing a sale for next year, but this one has been a lot of fun to work on. My sinuses, whew, these allergies. And like always, a needle on my project never fails. I feel like I'm whistling. I'm gonna put down how many stitches I stitched. Remind me to do that later, okay? And then next I worked on my Earth Macy piece. I stitched 260 stitches on that one because I got confused and thought that I had to stitch 260. I had landed in Stitchopoly on an orange space, Vitchelt, and I thought I had to have 260 stitches for that space. So I went ahead and completed out my space, but I only had to have 200, and I only had to have 200 for the Earth Macy piece. So I ended up with some 60 extra stitches, but that's fine. And the one that I worked on for that is Pumpkin Swirl by Glendon Place. This is what it will look like when it's finished. This was gifted to me by Belinda Scott a couple birthdays ago. She kitted this entire thing up except for fabric. And I've been working on it ever since. Absolutely love this piece. I have a few more of these Glendon Places that she gifted me. The patterns. And then I'll eventually get the embellishment charts packs and stitch them as well, because these are a lot of fun to stitch. The layout of the chart is great. It shows you each pattern is numbered, and try not to show you actual pattern. It shows you how it lays out. The chart is big and easy to read, and it does have the grayed area to show overlapping. I did make a working copy. As you can see, I've tattered my book, but and then I made a working copy, and I've been known to kind of tape the pieces together to make it easier to see. This is where I was before this homework, and this was Earth Macy, so I'm probably saying that wrong. If I am, just still with my southern accent. You've dealt with it now for a while, so I'm sure you'll forgive me. But this is where I was before, or that was where I was before. Get this oriented this wrong way. This piece of fabric is a little hard to hold on to. So this is stitched on 28 count Hobby Lobby random in the upholstery fabric linen. I stitched it out, and it counted out to 28 count. Looking back on that, I probably wouldn't have stitched this on this fabric, only because when I do the other desserts later, I don't know if this fabric will be available. So I just need to go and randomly buy a few yards, like a yard here and a yard there of the fabric with their 40% discount, where I know for sure that I'll have enough to do all of the desserts I want to do. Because I like the fabric. It's just I always wonder, like, if the next time I go in there, if they're going to be out of this fabric. So this is stitched in the Dingy Dye Silks, and I am using a little sponge instead of any wax or anything for my silks, and I absolutely love its water. I love it. I stitched this circle and this circle, started with this big circle here, and then stitched on the middle part of this design. Can I hold this up here? There we go. So again, these little circles here, and then started on this big circle. But there that piece is. And this is the pumpkin swirl. It's a Glendon GP 188. I don't know how well you can hear me behind this board, but this makes it so much easier to hold. But there that piece is. Like I said, I got 260 stitches on this one. So, I've stitched a lot this week. I'm still going, guys. I should have done the math. I'll do the math. Hang on. In just a minute, towards the end of the video, I'll pull out my handy dandy calculator and do the math. So, Sammy and I were talking, and we both agree that one thing that this Magical Stitches is doing is making me kind of work on some projects that I don't want to work on. And I say that timidly because it's not that I don't want to work on them. Like, some of them are pieces that I normally like have to slug through, and then when I stitch on them I enjoy it, but it's not the one that when I go to look at my whips I'm like, oh yeah, I want to work on that piece tonight. However, in order to make these pieces fit into the homework, I stitch on them, and then I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I stitched on that piece. So it's a good thing, but you know, it is what it is. I say that as I go into my second homework piece, which was Muggle Studies. And I chose to stitch on my water mill or water wheel. This is a old mill that they used to make. I want to say, I think they made corn out of this one, like corn grits, but it may have been flour. But I want to say it was corn, if I remember correctly, from when my aunt and I and my sister traveled over to that area. We would go randomly on weekends. We would drive on our days, on pretty days, drive over. That was our day. We spent our day driving to the campus and driving around the campus. But anyway, that is what it will look like when it's finished. This is what my project looked like before I stitched on it for homework. You may not see as much progress. You may not be able to tell. I can tell a lot of progress. This is stitched as called for DNCs on 32 count stiff Witchelt, one of my lamb's wool, one of my favorite linens. I seem to like the linen that nobody likes. People don't like the MCG, people don't like this Witchelt. I like it. I stitched mainly in this grass all the way across here and brought this down. So like as far as shockingly details, there's not a huge amount of difference in my progress, but that's just some stuff that I slogged through and got my stitching done. And I ended up stitching 203 stitches on this. I also, for this piece, landed on Bits and Bob's, the supplier for Stitchopoly, and stitched 200 stitches. But there that is. Guys, I dread this back stitch. In fact, I think whenever I watch Prisoner of Azkaban and stitch for my extra credit, I'm going to work on this back stitch. I think that's what I'm going to do. And I have some new markers that I got at the, oh, what is it that Stitching and Doodah calls the Dollar Tree? Oh, they have a name for it to make it sound fancier. Anyway, I've got some new markers from the Dollar Tree that they almost look fine tip flare pens, almost like little Sharpies. I think I'm going to try marking my back stitch as I go with one of those and see if that helps. And then after that one, I moved on to the study of divination. Cannot say that one. I want to add an extra N. I want to say divination. That's not it. It's divination. And Belinda, get ready. You'll like what I chose. You've been yelling at me to stitch on this one the entire time. I worked on Starry Night because stars, astrological, people look at the stars to predict the future and, you know, astrological time. So this is what it will look like, of course, when it's finished. You guys know what Starry Night looks like. This is by my chart is by Ladybug Designs. They do still sell this. You can buy the kit, or you can buy just the pattern. The kit does come with DMC floss. I've checked it, which is good because I'm running out of some of it just because I've worked on this for longer than my son's been alive. I've been a mother a shorter time than I've worked on this project. And that is what it is. So this is where I was before. I have 200 stitches finished in this. However, because I landed on Stony Creek, which is one of the yellow spaces on Stitchopoly, I need to stitch about 80 more stitches to finish that block. And then I'll move on to my study of ancient runes. This is where I currently am now. So I kind of came out further this way, which this goes into the very last page, and it's only like 3 rows of the top half. So I'm getting there to finish this top half, guys. I'm so excited. I've looked forward to stitching this moon. So I purposely came out today and stitched this spot because I was with a friend while our boys played, and it was an easy area to stitch because it was just one color. But that is where I currently am now. Next video, once because I still have to stitch any more stitches, and I finally got this in the right spot, so I'm not about to take this off this Q-snap. So the next video, I'll actually have this off the Q-snap, and you can see like the all over project. But there that one is. Okay, so that means that if I count, let me get my calculator out. Okay, 97 minus 60 is 337 divided by 2. So I stitched a total of 168 stitches. Hey, my math was pretty quick. On my black work piece, plus 160 stitches on the Flower and Flourish, plus 260 on Pumpkin Swirl, plus 203 on my water wheel, plus another 200 on Starry Night. Guys, I stitched 991 stitches since my last video, and that is counting, that is dividing the black work by 2 so that it counts as a full stitch rather than, you know, just 1 stitch or a half a stitch. 991 stitches since last Friday. I'm so excited about that number, guys. I was like, maybe before this magical stitches, I was maybe 200, 300 stitches a week because I would get up and get down and get distracted and do other things. But now with this, I have a goal and I meet the goal and I'm loving it. As Jessie Marie has said, I have said to Sam, even before Jessie Marie said it, I don't know what I'm going to do. I told Belinda before that she was going to have to like assign me homework next year. Just even if it was like, okay, you're going to stitch this many stitches on this project. I don't have to make it fit. Just give me goals and write them out to where I'll stitch like this. Because I'm having so much fun stitching. I stitched more this week, I think, than I did last week. So it's all working out great. I'm loving it. So with that said, and I think I just earthquaked you. I bumped my tripod, I think. Or either my camera turned off. I think I bumped the tripod. So with that said, I have one piece of haul. I got this on clearance. You know, you buy a couple threads that you need, and threads can't travel alone in the spirit of Emily C. So this was on clearance and on my wish list, and I had been enabled by Sammy J. I got a Telling Emblem piece. This is called, this number 104 is called Leaves of Love, or Clematis, Clematis. But I absolutely love this piece, guys. I don't know when I'm going to do this. It's even got this fancy emblem here that will go in the middle of this vase, but I got that. Then I also purchased a pair of scissors from McKenna in one of her live sales. So excited about those getting here. They are my favorite scissors. And I don't have a needle. You can usually find them at any needle workshop, but I just don't have a needle workshop near me in order to buy them. And then I got a gift from the lovely Belinda. it was my birthday gift. I didn't tell my husband that it was my birthday gift. So I opened it ahead of time. Had he known it was my birthday gift, he probably wouldn't have let me open it. But I wanted to see it. So she and I were discussing some plans of mine. And I eventually want to start on my Silver Dragonfly by Mirabilia. So she got me some of the charms for that. The Whisper Thread. And then some of the Krynics. Look at these colors, guys. Aren't these lovely? They're so pretty. Which this even has some green in it. And some purples. And then she sent me this beautiful Mill Hill kit. I don't know if I can get it out of the bag for you, dearie, so that there's not a glare. There we go. It is Spring Bouquet, and it's the little green, very bright and springy Dragonfly by Mill Hill. I still can't believe I stitched that many stitches. I like adding it up like that at the end of the week. And then, I'm wondering, since it's the honesty policy, if I can just add that in there. If I have to do a before and after for the stitching through the solar system. I need to find out. And then she sent me this beautiful piece of 32 count vintage Sahara Belfast linen. It looks like it's, which is the company that it prints on one side. Is it not Witchelt? Oh, I have a piece of gray fabric that's by them too, and I love it. Maybe it is Witchelt. But this lovely piece, I don't know if you can see the variations. It reminds me of like desert sands, like perfect, like the beach. It's got the little, you know how sand kind of gets little drifts in it? That's what it reminds me of. Ooh, that sounds sorry. But there that lovely fabric is. And I think I'm going to use this for, this piece has been on my wish list for so long. I fell in love with this quote long before this was a design, and then somebody designed it, and that was it. Kathy Barrett, Good Intentions. I myself am made entirely of flaws and stitched together with good intentions. I love this piece. I love the colors, and I think this fabric will go perfectly. I'm going to do a floss toss just to be sure, but I think I'm going to stitch this on this fabric. And I love this quote. My mom had another quote about good intentions and where they led you. But anyway, meaning that good intentions don't matter. But, you know, they do. But that is it for this video, guys. I'm going to stitch my next 80 stitches on Starry Night to finish out the, my foot just fell asleep, is it Witchelt? Anyway, my Stitchopoly piece, which is Stony Creek. And then I will work on my next two assignments are the Runes, Study of Ancient Runes, which I'm going to use my New Beginnings piece by Abby Lane Designs. And then the fifth one is Magical Creatures, and I'm going to hopefully work on Dragonfly Fairy by Joan Elliott. So those are my plans for the rest of this weekend. I don't know what I'll do after that, because I'm still off next week as well until Saturday. I took a long staycation. So, and that will depend on, my plans then will depend on what Magical Stitches tells me to do. Because Magical Stitches and Sammy, they're my bosses. Guys, my video is long enough that it actually cut me off, you know, mid-video. Actually at the end of the video, but still at the, you know, it was long enough that my camera cut me off. How rude. Like, how can I do a long Southern goodbye when my camera cuts me off in the middle of the goodbye? Anyway, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my videos. Thank you for your subscriptions, my new subscriptions. Thank you for those who have stuck by me and watched all the crazy videos. They're all, you know, I think this is like, what, almost 130 videos that I've done now, not counting the vlogs. I'm trying to get better about commenting back to you guys on your comments. Again, good intentions. And I'm trying to get better too about commenting on the floss tube that I watch. I know how much the comments mean to me, so I am sure the other people that make the videos, they enjoy the comments as much as I do. So I'm trying to be better about commenting too instead of just liking. That way you know that I've watched your video. However, that does not mean that just because I didn't comment that I didn't watch your video, because sometimes my ADD kicks in and I forget what I was going to comment by the time the end of the video comes. So you may get a random comment, and then you may get like almost a book where I've commented as I've watched your video. It just depends on how ADD I am that day. But I'm hoping that now that I'm not listening to Harry Potter, because I've listened to 3 books in the last 2 months, that I can get caught up on watching the floss tube and giving you guys, you know, the credit you guys deserve when you make videos as well. But as always, take care and happy stitching.